Hey, what up anyone who's watching? This is View with Ice, the channel for anime and TV show related content. In this video today, I will be recommending a few of the best Amazon original shows. This list will of course be in no specific order because I only work on recommendations and not which is better, and I feel that every single one of these shows are worthy of your time. I think I'm going to start this video off with one of the newest additions to the network, and that is Class of 07. Class of 07 is an Australian post-apocalyptic comedy drama that follows a group of women who are left stranded in their high school during their 10-year reunion after the entire island gets flooded. The show looks at the women's struggle for survival while also dealing with all of their old high school issues. One thing I can tell you now about the show is not to take it too seriously because it is just pure comedy, madness and stupidity at the end of the day. My favorite thing about the show is the way it escalates every episode. It just gets crazier and funnier the deeper you go into the story. As of now, the status of the show is still sort of a mystery. It hasn't been cancelled or renewed yet, but I'm really hoping for a renewal because this is easily one of my favorite shows of 2023 and it is 100% deserving of a second season. The next show is something I thought I would never watch because it felt very cringy and cheesy, but to my surprise it actually turned into one of my favorite teen dramas of 2022. The show follows Belly, who with her mother and brother goes on their annual summer vacation to their family friends' beach house. But this summer is completely different from the others as Belly has had a transformation. In simple terms, you could just say she has had a glow up, and that transformation turns this summer into a completely different experience. So, as I stated before, the show is cringy, but check it out because it is actually a very highly enjoyable show. It is of course not going to be a show for people who take themselves too serious and call every other show trash, but the show has already been renewed for a second season and I'm actually very interested to see what's going to happen next. Next up we have A League of Their Own. Most likely the most controversial show on this list as the show was heavily hate bombed on the internet, but I can assure you it is not a bad show, otherwise it would not have made the list. A League of Their Own is a period sports drama that takes place in the 1940s and follows the formation of a professional baseball team for women. The show mainly focuses on two characters, Carson Shaw and Maxine Chapman. Carson being a married woman who decides to leave her hometown to pursue a dream of being a baseball player, and Maxine, a young African American woman, is also trying to pursue a dream as a baseball player but faces the struggle of being a woman of color. The show has been renewed for a second and final season, but sadly this season will only contain 4 episodes. Rings of Power was a disappointment to many people who love fantasy, but Prime still has another great fantasy show for you to lose yourself in, and that is of course The Wheel of Time. The Aes Sedai are a group of women who are able to channel the One Power, and our story follows one of these women, Moiraine, who is in search of the Dragon Reborn. The dragon was an incredibly powerful channeler of the One Power who is said to have broken the world. Her search leads her to a small village where 5 villagers could be the Dragon Reborn. It is said that the Dragon Reborn is prophesied to either be the savior of the world or the one who will lead it to darkness. Which will it be? The Wheel of Time currently only consists of 1 season, but the show has already been renewed for a second and even third season. The second season is said to be released sometime this year. Coming in next is The Legend of Vox Machina. The Legend of Vox Machina is an American adult animation fantasy that is based on the Dungeons & Dragons web series Critical Role. The show follows the group Vox Machina in the fictional world of Exandria who are on a quest to save the realm from dark and magical forces. The show is brutal, dark, action-packed, features a great cast of characters, and above all else, it's funny. The cast also features Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, the stars of The Last of Us. This show is a show that I feel is one of the most underappreciated shows on the network, and that is of course Sneaky Pete. Our story here is about Mariusz Josipovic, a con man who steals the identity of his cellmate Pete after he is released from prison. Marius has made various enemies in his past, so he uses the identity of Pete for cover. He even reunites with Pete's estranged family for the sake of hiding from his enemies, but this family isn't as innocent as the stories of Pete portray them to be. There are only 3 seasons of Sneaky Pete. The show was cancelled after its 3rd season, but it is without a doubt one of the best shows that I have discovered on the Prime Network. Next up we have The English, a Western miniseries. The story here follows Lady Cornelia Locke, who comes to America in the late 1800s on a revenge mission looking for the man she feels is the reason for the death of a child. There she meets Eli Whip, a member of the Pawnee Nation and ex-cavalry scout. With her not being from the country, she follows his lead in search of this man. The show only consists of 6 episodes. It has decent pacing, great performances from both leads, it has some solid plot twists, and it is just an overall great story. Easily one of my favorite shows from Amazon Prime, and it is one of those shows where I kind of want to forget about everything just to watch it again. The next show we have is a show that could easily be considered one of the absolute best shows in the superhero genre today, and that is The Boys. The Boys tells us the story about superheroes a little differently than the norm. Superheroes are not always the heroes that you think they are. Our story here follows Huey Campbell, who after the death of his girlfriend by a superhero joins a sinister group led by Billy the Butcher called The Boys. Their mission is to expose these so-called heroes and show the general public who praise these superpowered beings exactly who and what they are. The show has been praised from its humor, writing, and the performances of the cast. Anthony Starr, who portrays Homelander, especially, has some of the best performances you can find in any TV show today. The show is a combination of dark comedy, drama, and action, giving you a thrilling experience that will constantly keep you invested. The Boys already has 3 seasons out currently. It has also been renewed for a 4th season, and there is also a spin-off in development that takes place in the same universe. The next show is easily one of the best crime dramas I have ever had the pleasure of watching. Boss could be described as someone with a very strong moral compass, someone that will go the distance to get the job done in the name of justice. He could also be described as somewhat of a renegade because he's always in some type of trouble in his pursuit of finding the truth, and that is my favorite trait for a protagonist in a crime drama. The show consists of 7 seasons with a spin-off show that has already had 1 season finished and has now been renewed for a 2nd season. I finished Boss Legacy a few days ago, and I can honestly say the show hasn't missed a step. Amazon Prime has a wide range of incredible shows to watch, but this is my absolute favorite Prime original, and that is of course The Marvelous Mrs Maisel. Our story takes place during the late 1950s and early 1960s and follows Miriam Maisel, a housewife whose entire life changes after her husband and father of her children leaves her for another woman. After finding out about the affair, she is devastated and goes to the Gaslight, a bar where her husband occasionally did stand-up comedy, and starts to vent her frustrations on stage. What started out as just her speaking in her mind in a drunken state turns into a set, and with this impromptu set she is discovered as a comic, and from there on out she begins her journey as a stand-up comedian. The show is currently on its 5th and final season, but so far every single season has been a stellar viewing experience with stellar performances and stellar writing. I don't only consider this one of the best shows on Amazon Prime, I consider it one of the best shows, period.